If money is added to petroleum product, it affects the entire life cycle of Nigerians. So if subsidy is removed, where do we go from here?
Of course, welcome to this wonderful edition on Novel TV Live. And my name is Chidi Peters Okorie, and with me in the studio is
Tony Okunebe.
Mr. Tony Okunebe. You are very much welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course, we want to look into the first subsidy. A little while after the 1999, when taking over from military, Nigeria began to witness a drama surrounding our oil sector. Of course, we begin to hear the languages like turnaround maintenance, which got several billions of dollars, yet Nigeria still suffer of a scarcity. And the most recent, Nigeria begin to hear words like subsidy. Subsidy removal, non-subsidy removal, and partial subsidy removal. Yet Nigeria is a country that used to boast of several oil refineries in Port Harcourt, in Warri, and of course in Kaduna, and so many other oil farm tanks scattered across the country. Yet petroleum products cannot be found around Nigeria, resulting to Nigerians marketers importing the product from overseas. And of course, the story and the hardship, of course, the pain of paying for a drop of oil now before every Nigerian citizen. And of course, since 8 years ago, we've been hearing the issue of removal of oil subsidy and partial removal. And most recently, the case of removal subsidy have been a topic of the day now. So most recently, the Minister of Finance, Zainab, came out to tell us that by July, the federal government is bent on moving oil subsidy. And of course, in one of the campaign programs, the president-elect says that on assumption of office, the first task is to remove subsidy. He doesn't care how much Nigerians will cry or how long Nigerians are going to protest. All he cares about is going to remove subsidy. Now, the issue of removal subsidy is intensifying, resulting to labor union threatening to go on strike. And of course, for some months now, Nigerians have been grooming because the petroleum product is sold as high as 300 naira per liter. And of course, in the studio with me to discuss it, Tony Okunebe, we are going to dissect what actually is going on. Mr. Tony Okunebe, you're very much welcome to this program.
Thank you very much.
Let's talk about oil subsidy in Nigeria and how it has come far.
Oil subsidy, to the layman explanation, is money paid on behalf of the consuming public by the government to make it available for use by the common man on the streets. When you look at this subsidy, so to speak, I wouldn't really understand the government of Nigeria when they tell us that they want to remove subsidy from oil or whatever name they give it, because we are at today buying fuel, diesel, kerosene at exorbitant prices. The fuel is selling as high as 300, kerosene is as high as over 400 naira a liter, then the diesel is at 800 naira. The removal of subsidy, at what rate will it now be? Because if you look at it, we are looking at suffering the masses the more. If subsidy has not been removed at this rate that we are buying the product as at today, then what will be the fate of the public? What will be, because everything government does, if government add 1 naira to worker salary, it affects the market woman. If money is added to petroleum product, it affects the entire life cycle of Nigerians. So if subsidy is removed, where do we go from here? That is why labor is on the watch out, because some weeks back, okay, let's say last month, labor threatened the government that the scarcity of cash, the high cost of power tariff, and petroleum products costs will lead to nationwide strike. Now, one way or the other, the government had to revoke the issue of old naira notes working side by side with the new naira notes, and they began to pump money into the economy. Now, because the masses have calmed down now, they are now coming out with the fuel subsidy. Labour has already threatened that if they do that, they will go on strike. And I support the idea wholeheartedly that if federal government does that, Labour will go on strike.
A quick one. The last time the MD of NMPCL, which is Abakari, talked about if subsidy is removed, that a liter of fuel is going to be sold as high as 800 per liter. Of course, that's going to be very exorbitant price. But the question now is, there was a time they talked about retreated oil being brought into the country that that has circulated and withdrawal, and ever since then, Nigeria have continued to witness high cost of petroleum products.
Is that not madness on the part of government that we have 4 refineries in Nigeria, one in Kaduna, one in Port Harcourt, and 2 in Warri? None of them is working. Before now, we grew up as young boys and girls, before now, seeing the refinery working at full capacity. Every year, they allocate money for the turnaround maintenance of all these refineries. How can it be said that Nigeria produce the raw material? We have extracting companies, oil companies, extractive industry that extracts these petroleum products, and we load it into a ship and take it outside the country to go and refine when we have refineries in this country. And one single human being built a refinery where the government is now looking to us to supply us with petroleum products. Is that not madness?
Because the recent investigation by the federal government says that, of course, the Port Harcourt refinery is almost 80% complete, and before the end of the year, before the end of July, it's going to function. And of course, the 2 in Warri there, like I said, that's also in the pipeline. And of course, before the end of the year, it's going to be functional. And of course, the independent petroleum company or refinery being established by the richest man in Africa, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, says that before the end of 2023, that these refineries are going to be set up. But he made a clause. He said that does not mean that the cost is going to come low.
If 3 refineries, like they said, we have out of 4, 3 will come on stream, plus a private refinery coming on stream, what's the essence of removing the subsidy? What is the essence of removing the subsidy? Let these refineries rule, and then the subsidy will disappear on its own. Because the subsidy is a scam as far as Nigerians are concerned. Because we do not know where the subsidy is. We do not know where the subsidy is. Is it at the point of dumping the fuel from the imported fuel, or the point of loading the fuel to the retailing point? Because that is the issue. You cannot say you are paying subsidy as high as 3.3 trillion naira. You use 3.3 trillion naira, according to finance minister, to fund subsidy between 2022 and June 2023. That you will use 3.35 trillion naira to fund subsidy. To build a refinery is far, far less than that amount. Are we not? Who is deceiving who? Is it the finance minister that is telling us what they are not doing, or the government that is doing what they are not telling us? Because fuel subsidy, as far as I'm concerned, does not exist. If you ask me, fuel subsidy does not exist. Because I cannot imagine where we're buying fuel for 300 naira per liter, and yet they say it is not, fuel subsidy has not been removed. How can? It's not done anywhere. So they should tell us at what point the fuel subsidy is and how much they are spending on fuel subsidy. How much is subsidy paid on a liter of fuel, so that it will now be clearer for the public to know the reason why they should remove it and what will be the ultimate cost. Because even if they increase it to 800 naira per liter, the next government that is coming in will also tell us that they will remove subsidy. So why should we not believe them?
Okay, we have had the issue of this subsidy removal coming up successively for the successive government, and now
It has been on. It has been on. It has
Nigeria
been
is
on.
now hit with economic recession and
Yeah.
inflation, and of course now we're talking about removal of oil subsidy. Of course, that will jack the cost of petroleum products in the country, and of course that spells doom for the country. Don't you think so?
It is already. It's going to tell much on the public because one, our level of borrowing is very, very high. In fact, IMF, the monetary body, said any country that borrows above 40% of the source of your income, you're already at the red line. But Nigeria is already at 46%. Are we not going crazy? Yet the same federal government is already seeking how to borrow 20 billion from $1 billion from China, and China declined because the one who borrowed from them, we have not even done anything about it. They've not seen any physical thing we have done with it, and you are thinking of borrowing another one. So it's just a design strategy by the government for the masses to pay for what they did not eat. That's why I see subsidy. All this language of subsidy that they are going to remove subsidy is for the masses to pay for what we did not ask them to do.
A quick one because of time. Tony Kunabe, we thank you very much for coming to the studio to talk to us. And of course, you have had what you said about removal of subsidy, and of course, a serious hunch on Nigerians' back. And of course, it's something that the Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari have wanted to see how best to tackle, but yet the problem seems unresolved.
Yeah.
My name is JD Peters. Of course, on Noble TV Live, like, subscribe, share, and of course, comment. Thank you, and bye bye.